Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I think the 20 million. All right, well.
So I had a chat with Alex 2 days ago, and we have he's working. He changed the algo a little bit. Now you can have like endless. Before you had like only 10,000 bits were possible for the algorithm, and now he changed. So now it's I think it has no limit anymore. So I think that's good, because otherwise the smallest bit would be 1,000th of the full sale, and so we changed that. And then I don't know if you did see, he was working on a draft for a front end. There's a video somewhere, and he is going to opening this repro. I don't know. He thought he wants to fix the code because it's just a very bad draft. But in a way, I asked him to open it for us. And then the other thing he told me is that he thought he had a guy who was with Gnosis, but then left Gnosis because he's a Russian guy living in Russia, and Gnosis only pay local money to him, and so he left Gnosis. But today he wrote me, this guy is not interested in working the front end for Mesa. So I think we are looking for a developer for Mesa mainly. So the draft he made it's a Uniswap clone. So, and I think we go with this. So we need what's the tech stack? Yeah, we need somebody who has experience with Uniswap clones or what's the framework? I forgot. This JavaScript framework.
This is for the front end for Mesa, a new front end for Mesa.
Yes. Yeah, it's not. It's just for this algorithm he developed, and I think we're going to start with that, and then the second far at the end we will make like a platform for IDOs, and then it will look different. But at the start, I think we go with this draft, and so I'm a little bit stuck. Maybe you did see. And that's more about the deal with Gnosis. So my proposal would be to move forward either without the deal or with a deal specific to Mesa, and make an umbrella deal later, because I don't see that we can move like on with Gnosis right now. I don't know how you see that. Maybe. Yes, that's where I am right now.
Right. So just for people watching, we're talking about Mesa and the next kind of steps here for building a tailored IDO interface. There's also been some talks with Gnosis about collaborating with them and potentially even sharing fees on future IDOs. Yeah,
but I want to add now. So Alex and we agree on this fee idea. So, but the thing is just how big is the fee? That's to discuss, because I think we should set the fee, and Gnosis would be, or Gnosis said, maybe we start with 0 fee. I don't think that's really a good idea. And the other thing is what we have to build. The idea is to separate this. That we can move the liquidity to Swapper, and what we have to build is like at the end of the auction, his contract will just send the fee to another contract, and we need a contract who is then initializing a Swapper pool and pushing the liquidity to the pool, and this has to be done by ourselves. I don't know. I ask Federico, because I've known that he has tinkering with with Swapper, but he doesn't have any time to do this. So yeah, we will
Right.
see.
So we basically need to figure out some smart contract resources to update what has already been written by Alex and Gnosis, and then we need some front end work to implement the new front end. Right. So I think what we should do, Martin, is let's take that discussion like offline from this call, and we can sync up maybe even on Keybase about who would be best suited. Like you mentioned, everybody. We have people doing smart contracts in front end dev on Swapper, Omen, etc. in governance, but everybody's pretty busy, so we just have to figure out how to prioritize. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's from my side.
Great, good stuff. Yeah. So should we move on to Omen? We have a lot of noise going. Yeah. Thanks, Martin. Should we move to Omen now? There's a baby elephant. Yeah. All right. Omen.
Yeah. We have right now issues with subgraphs, which means we're a little bit blocked in terms of testing purpose, which is a bummer. But until the graph didn't fix their infrastructure, it is like it is. But scalar markets very, very soon. I think we have several pull requests which will at the end merge into a master scalar branch, which will then be proposed to the master branch, and only then the proper testing begins to make sure scalar markets are working as intended. And yeah, so scalar markets will be ready soon to be tested on DX test. So that's great. In terms of the DXdao not transition, but installment of Omen, we have in Sokol. So if you go to dxtest.eth right now, you actually connect to Sokol. Let me send you guys a link if anyone will do some testing. I'm just looking on the GitHub issue, which has a description of how actually to connect to Sokol. 1 second. So if someone doesn't know what Sokol is a test network for DXdao. And the Omen system is using a Kovan Clarus code deployment on Kovan, so we can actually test the whole bridge. And yeah, so we're testing Sokol. We need to test a lot because having a bridge to a different network is a little bit more complex and needs to be thoroughly tested. The good thing is if we do the testing on Sokol, it's mainly testing for DXdao. So the DXdao deployment is there's nothing else to be done on DXdao besides UI bridge implementation on Omen itself. So if Sokol works well and we don't have issues, we actually found a bug, or the Clarus team found a bug on their stuff. So that's great to hear that we fixed it. And yeah, if there are no bugs to be found coming up with the testing, there is no reason why we shouldn't start pushing the DXdao version out. Yeah, so that's that. And we have a big proposal currently as a DAO talk thread from the API 3 team, which is proposing to have a bigger partnership with the DXdao, mainly integrating their Oracle system into Omen, this will allow us to reduce the whole process of closing up a market from best case 6 days to seconds. If so that's like a huge improvement in terms of capital efficiency for liquidity providers and in general also users. So if they're actually trading on a scalar market, depending on the ETH price at a specific date, they would like immediately redeem their rewards, their winnings or losses, or not really redeeming their losses, but yeah, it's an important thing. It's an important feature for Omen, and Omen in general should be a generic Oracle interface. So I don't think we should like go all in on Oracle provider, because there are different type of Oracle providers with different features, and we need to we should consider that we should provide a suite of Oracle providers on Omen, so the market creator can actually pick what kind of how the market should resolve. I will send the API 3 proposal. It would be great to get some responses for the API 3 team. It's a big document.
How would you approach? So there are a few different options, like different Uniswap oracles, API 3 oracles, Chainlink oracles. How would you suggest trying, working towards integrations with all of them? And then how do you just have to integrate them so that they're working, and then like do a lot of testing? Because a lot of these are unproven. So to actually put it into live working Omen, you would have to be confident that it's not going to get messed up, right? So you approach.
So if we're not
picking one first and going, and then doing other ones later.
Yeah, so I consider the DXdao Omen product also as like a thing platform, and what we can do is, if we're not confident about the robustness of API 3, we can start with not allowing anyone to create those markets, but the Omen squad could handle it as like an testing environment, right? To make sure that we test on very small scale and small liquidity, to make sure that the API 3 team is learning out of those experiments, and we do too. That's an argument for actually, we are doing them a favor, not they are doing us a favor. What we want is a robust Oracle service, and it doesn't look like they are ready yet. So that's like, we are helping them. That's my point of view in terms of that partnership coming up, and Also, like, thinking about, like, that's just an idea, but now that there are difficult to attackable on-chain Oracle providers, we could think about having our own like keeper protocol, which is like doing the job for the Omen team, and like getting rewards via DXD or something. So like, there's no reason why we could explore creating like an Oracle service or a keeper service where DXD holders can actually earn money by pushing those prices into the Omen or Reality protocol. So like, there's no reason why we shouldn't do research on what is in the market right now. Can we actually leverage already existing code bases to easily integrate that into Omen? So yeah, the Oracle, the Oracle space is growing, and it's very competitive. So we need to make sure that Omen DXdao is getting the best out of it.
Right, so there's a need to integrate oracles into Omen and potentially other future services and products from DXdao. And so these are important collaborative efforts. I haven't had a chance to read this API 3 proposal, but looking forward to it. And yeah, hopefully something can be worked out that's mutually beneficial to the two projects.
Yeah,
exactly. No, shoot.
Yeah, I just think we should talk about this on the biz dev call on Monday, and looking forward to that, because I had to look at the proposal, but I'm still kind of confused on what exactly would be getting versus giving. I know there was kind of some numbers in there, so I think it would be good to talk about what that relationship would look like on the Monday call. I think separately from that, we should be thinking about Oracle and Omen strategy, because I just don't really know enough of how reliant we I guess what are the other options. I know Chainlink is out there and I know that the Oracle business is kind of a booming business, and being a consumer, or I guess you could almost call it a buy side of Oracle's. I just think we should think about that. So be interested to hear more about that conversation.
Yeah, I agree. Seeing API 3 right now, I think they are the most aligned with our views of how decentralized protocols should be operated. So API 3 could be a very good, very long-term partner, and we could move together into the future depending on how we we need to start working together and see the results out of that. So that's part of the business call for next week. All right.
Yes,
any questions regarding Omen?
Yeah, I just say too that Chainlink and Band Protocol are a couple other Oracle providers that have both expressed interest in integrating with Omen. So there's something there too to potentially explore. So yeah, I agree that discussing this further on the biz dev call makes sense.
I think the whole Oracle service suite for Omen is a long-term process. There's a maker governance proposal live right now, which will approve a module which would allow us to immediately leverage the ETH/USD price for Omen markets. So that's something we could immediately use as an alternative for the Reality Kleros process, specifically interesting for scalar markets. So yeah, that could be the first new Oracle, which doesn't cost us anything and will allow us to improve the user experience quite dramatically.
There's also another project that's interested in integrating as an arbitrator on XDAI, and I'm trying to get them to join for the business call as well. It's OneHive, and they're doing their own fork of Aragon Court on XDAI. So that's another thing I'll try to get added to the biz dev call.
Yeah, so that's actually a very, very interesting team which is proposing. There are not a lot of court on-chain court systems, so providing alternatives and even providing alternatives makes Omen more anti-fragile, because if Kleros has issues right now, Omen will have issues right now, and that's not a good thing.
Right, exactly, and it's Oracle and arbitrator agnostic, right? So having multiple options is sort of by design, which is cool. Any questions? Other questions on them?
Yeah, if a party like that around an idea, and this could be really early, so it doesn't have to exist yet, but if either Hive or someone could provide even some basic details of that prior to the biz dev call, so people have like a better idea on maybe a forum post or something. We can ask one Hive to do it. Maybe they're not ready to do it, but ideally there's a forum post and discussion before they come and like speak about it. That way people are like prepared to ask questions, and kind of like what's happening with API 3 proposal. It's better to have some background before like someone shows up to the dev call, I think, if possible.
Totally, yeah. I'll ask. I'm talking to Luke Duncan from the project, and I'll ask him to do that. Any other?
Yeah, just one question about those Gnosis impact markets. Like, can someone explain like what they're about, like more detail maybe?
I was going to ask that too. I was looking at the one on the bonding curve proposal, and I don't quite understand it.
I think it's broken. So
I think it's backwards.
Yeah, with the team Protofire and the teams looking into why that one is showing the way it is. There's something that tool is very buggy. So even though it's interesting, if it's not working, we can't rely on it. So something's wrong with it right now. So they're trying to figure out what it is. So it's hard. It's not worth explaining until we know it works.
Yeah.
So right now those markets aren't verified, but I thought we passed. Like there were a couple of proposals that passed.
Yeah, that's another issue. Is the curation of those markets seem to have passed, but it's probably like a graph issue. Everything's a graph issue these days. Those markets are showing as not verified still, which doesn't make should not be the case. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and Omen is not the only one being affected by the graph. Like literally any app you go to right now is like giving you messages or just not working, which is bad, right? It indicates how centralized, how this centralized dependency can mess up like basically all of TFI. So I think it's a good lesson like for the future to put more of a focus on making the dApps have a good fallback, right? Like whether it's maybe using the graph is fine for certain performance benefits, but we should maybe be focused more on having a good fallback.
Yeah, so like I think like all Ethereum apps, or like 99% of them are probably using the graph. And then the question is, do we want to have a fallback that reads, I don't know, directly from the blockchain somehow, which would be very slow, and yeah, it will be a fallback. That's kind of the...
Yeah, it's a fallback. It would be slower. Like, I mean, like the bonding curve site doesn't use the graph, right? Like, but obviously the more complex your site, the harder that becomes, and slower that becomes to go straight off of other APIs.
The graph are decentralizing, right? So
they say they're decentralizing, which is
related to the graph, they have it's really a grants program that's going on, and part of it is not just like the grants, but it's building the community around the decentralized nature of achieving the graph's end goals, which maybe that includes not always having graph issues. So DXdao has like offered or applied to that program, the grants program, as a big user of the graph, to get involved in that process and see how DXdao can benefit from and contribute to the direction that the graph will move, right? I think it's going to be community effort. So since we're a big user, we probably want to have as much say as we can in what we think the direction that the graph should move in. So that's like in the works as well.
Yeah, I think it would be great to build a closer relationship with that project. And their biz dev person, Martin Telesia, is in our Keybase actually as well too. Just so you know. All right, so ignore that. Sorry, Guillermo, go ahead.
Thinking about like I expect that everyone is just waiting for the graph to decentralize, which means right now they're basically paying Amazon shit tons of money to run all those graph nodes, right? And the goal of the token is to make sure that someone else is hosting those subgraphs. Sure, it's basically, I expect most of them will still use Amazon, but at the end of the day, they will probably have like a security deposit to make sure those graphs will work and will not have any issues. So, I mean, our hope is that they will push to decentralize and a more robust infrastructure.
All right. Any other questions on Omen? Okay, shall we move to Swapper?
Should. So, Swapper. So much happening. We are working on some DApp things, like the next steps is farming and governance. Let's give you a quick update on that. I got some help from Omen team with Violet. He's been helping us build the UI for government governance, and that will also be the basic components for farming. Meanwhile, Federico's been working on the contracts for farming. For Swapper Alpha, we do have the proposal up. It's boosted. Is it boosted? Yeah, it should be boosted. Or let me check. Yeah, it should be boosted. It was boosted, I think. And for DX stats, what was the status there again?
Yep, I can provide a short update. So someone proposed a proposal in the morning to actually deploy the front end there as well, and the proposal has been submitted but not yet boosted.
Awesome. Questions?
Great. And on the staking rewards contracts like that, they are, I think, are scheduled to get audited early January as well too. So that could go in parallel with the front end development.
That, I mean, we kind of chose to not delay it, but to give it some more space and time to have some changes made, right, John? For farming.
Right. Yeah. Like we had a draft of contracts, but it felt a little rushed to go into audit with it. I think they're still being worked on. So the current plan is to have that wrapped up to be audited about first week of January. Same ERC20 guild should also go to audit like right after the staking contracts.
That's super nice.
Yeah, Augusto, I think Augusto is aware of that, right? Augusto, that because right now Phil, the auditor, is working on another project, but he'll be free in a couple weeks and then can work on those too. But yeah, like I said, we can do the front end development in parallel with the smart contracts because the interface really shouldn't change, right? It's the auditing is just about making sure they work as expected.
It can change. Like we added multiple rewards. Let's say that's something extra to be audited, right?
Right. I guess what I'm saying is the audit itself shouldn't introduce like a different interface, right?
Hopefully not.
Once we settle on the interface. So, I mean, whatever that is that we want to do with the front end, like I think you can kind of move the front end development alongside the audit, basically. Yeah,
for sure.
Concurrent or parallel work streams.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it's still a good idea to have a liquidity mining talk on Swapper, just to yeah, just go through what we have and what's planned, and if we like, how like should we do, which stages should we release stuff? Like this has nothing to do with the audit, but just to going forward with the swapper. I think we should maybe talk to that tomorrow.
Yeah, that makes sense for the strategy call.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and I think that's like another one that is not dependent on the audit or like the front end, but we can they all kind of have the same deadline or timeline. So yeah, we'll focus on that tomorrow. And just a shout out, there's an interesting kind of points and spreadsheet that Pulp put in the Swapper Keybase channel, and so I think we're thinking more about the strategy there.
One more thing for Swapper. We are onboarding a new developer tomorrow. Actually, he will start doing some work. It's an intro from Chris Powers, a guy named Tony. He will be working on front end. That was needed. So I want to thank Omen team for borrowing out the developer. Thank you, Violet. Thank you, Geronimo.
John, I think you're muted.
So
we heard the cough. Did you hear the
cough and drink, and then I talk and nothing. So yeah, I'm looking at the positioning chart from Pulp Machina, and this is pretty cool. It's basically like giving a landscape of the AMMs out there, and I think right now we're just trying to get the Uniswap fork out, the governance, the staking, kind of everything that like we're trying to deliver around that. But thinking longer term, I think it's going to be great to look at where we stand in the greater market, where it's moving, and trying to, I guess, borrow the hockey analogy, skate to where the puck is going, and kind of future work there. But yeah, I think Pulp, you had mentioned something about could we add balancer? I do think from a development perspective, adding a balancer fork to Swapper it is a significant amount of work, right? I mean, you could borrow their smart contracts, but then there's like several layers, right? There's like the DApp layer. There's like an SDK, which is like a developer kit that basically like links the front end to the smart contracts, and like they have their own SDK. We've got an SDK with Swapper. Those would have to be effectively merged, I think, to handle both types of smart contracts. And so, yeah, I mean, I think we have to do a deeper look at the where we want to go with it, and do some good planning, because it is a decent amount of technical work to kind of pick it once you do pick a direction. So, but this is great to see this document. So other thing that's probably worth talking about now, because it sort of relates to Swapper in terms of adding liquidity from the treasury, is there's a couple of relayers which are through audit now, and we're kind of at the point of looking at installing them. I think Nico's working on a DAO Talk post to describe the process today. So there's two of them. One is a Gnosis protocol relayer. This would allow the treasury to make trades through Gnosis protocol. And the other one is the relayer to actually add liquidity to Swapper. We probably need to revisit like what the treasury management and the Swapper liquidity does. Maybe that's another thing for tomorrow's strategy call. From my understanding, I think the kind of clear thing is to get some stable coins, right? To provide some stable assets for a certain amount of runway from the treasury. Chris Powers just posted, I guess this is I don't know if we've discussed this before, but like, yeah, maybe $1 million in stable coin, $1 million in TBTC. That would provide some diversification to the treasury, which now has something like 14 million in ETH, and 20 million total. But the cool part here too is I think we can simultaneously provide diversification for the treasury and liquidity for Swapper. And Swapper does, so not only are we helping Swapper, our own product, but Swapper is in turn helping the treasury kind of maintain a balance of stable coins to other assets. But Milan is saying, don't know if it's the best idea to buy at all-time high BTC. And yeah, I guess, treasury management is a tricky matter, and we should probably discuss it a little bit. Hard to know. Like every day right now is a new all-time high, so it's a little tricky, right?
So historically,
Uncharted.
Yeah, terra incognita.
Well, the really important piece of that is that anything in TBTC or anything to stable coins, because we're using it in Swapper, it's not really like you're just making the decision to like hold a different coin. You're actually doing it to put it to use. So it's actually a huge like natural hedge benefit that DXdao will have. Like if we have $1 million in the stable coins, okay, we have another couple 100,000 for payroll, but you have stability and diversification because of Swapper, which is really important.
Yeah, and I'm working or like thinking about how to integrate Swapper into like Omen, and we need stable coins for that.
Yeah, and I think like stable coins are no brainer. Like, we'll just like minimize the risk on our treasury. Like, especially now when Ether is at high price, we'll be getting like good value for it.
Weak hands. No,
Yeah,
I agree.
like
This is a market we've been seeing, but I mean, who knows what's in store? I mean, I think there is a lot of long-term. I think DXdao is definitely a long-term thinking type of place. So when we're making decisions about the treasury, I don't think it's just about what's going to go up over the next 6 months. It's kind of what is a asset that sits in the treasury that is going to provide value long-term, and then also if it can, as Sky and John were saying, if there's some overlap with Swapper. I think there is something about diversification that feels comforting, because I know it's like everyone, the first thing like ETH goes up and like treasury is going up, but the first thing everyone is like feeling almost nervous, right? That like there's all this money now in the treasury and we need to figure out how to like lock in some of those gains. So I think so. I think we're in a good position to do that, given we can lock in some runway, some diversification pretty easily. Why I think also maintaining a lot of optionality with the treasury going forward. And just the last thing is the way that it's working with Swapper, like is kind of Sky and John saying, like that should be how we look at all of our products, right? It's like the treasury, ourselves, like DXD investors, everyone will put assets, liquidity into DXdao products, and that's what kind of fuels the ecosystem. So I think it's just the first thing of hopefully a lot more.
Yeah, definitely tricky to time the market. I mean, I think some of us have seen multiple cycles of this in crypto, right? And like, if you look at where we were like in 2017, like, if you're thinking in terms of these big cycles, like it could be that we're like, in February of 2017 and selling then would have been a terrible move, right? But I do think, we're running a DAO here, and securing some runway is probably a smart thing to start doing. We also have the DXD, right? We're not going to sell that. So, that gives us exposure to kind of the overall market, I think. And yeah, moving some of that ETH into stable assets or diversifying a little bit, I think makes a lot of sense.
I mean, we need the stablecoin for more than just that. Like Joe, I want to get paid in stablecoins actually, and just all those stuff is enough to stable up. I mean, I'm not gonna do my worker proposal now. Obviously, if I do it on top and then it goes down, like should I? No.
It's a dangerous thing. Yeah, we do need stable coins for the program.
What are you gonna do if it keeps going up for the next 2 months? Just never do a worker proposal?
Yeah, I just work for free. What should I do?
you have to do a worker proposal, right?
Joking, dude. Yeah. I mean, there's ways to go. Like we could do a monthly average. We could do whatever, but like I'm happy ETH is going up, but
so we have a way to get like 30,000 DAI into the treasury for people to do dollar-based worker proposals very easily. I like proposed it in the forum. Like we could do it.
Yeah, I
tomorrow.
think that's a great idea. I think it takes a little bit of like, will the proposal pass if someone does it? Because like, I don't know if I would. I guess someone would have to send the DAI first, make a proposal to get reimbursed and put that all in there. But presumably, rep holders.
There's no reason the proposal shouldn't pass because the money's already in the DAO.
I would vote on that as long as like the proposal had documentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
the only parameter on that needs to be decided is that there will be some discount to market price. So it could be for members of DXdao, or it could be you could open it to the public, where as long as there's some discount to current market price, there's a reason why people would use that system and put DAI into there. And like, if you want to buy some ETH, you buy ETH this way because you get a 10% discount to market price. Now, if no one in the world wants to buy ETH, but I don't think that's the case, then the system doesn't work. But anyone that wants to buy ETH, why wouldn't you buy it 10% cheaper than the market?
Well, guys, Keenan thinks that ETH's going to test all-time highs within a month. So, anyway, I
mean, historically, all the money's flowed to Bitcoin. Everyone realizes they can't make money on Bitcoin anymore, so all the money flows into alts, and then everyone realizes, oh shit, money's everywhere, and they want to take profits, and everything tanks. I mean, we're seeing the preliminary steps of that happening, and we're seeing Bitcoin rising more than Ethereum. I expect it to go the opposite direction soon.
I mean, anything can happen. Like, there's already rumors of the next FUD. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but it's about KYC and forcing everyone to do a KYC. Otherwise, you can't move your funds from any centralized exchange. And if that happens, like ETH is one of those that's gonna be hit from this. People will move to more privacy and maybe move to I don't know what, but yeah. Let's
everything that's centralized is probably. I don't think. I mean, this is not just FUD. There's like a bill happening in the U.S. Congress for that. But I think everything centralized will actually be very, very hurt. So I guess this is an upside overall for us.
Yeah.
What about the MTGOX Bitcoin release?
Wasn't that the 15th 2 days ago? Yeah.
Please take this all to the trading channel.
No, yeah. I mean, this is actually, it's part of it. I guess we're veering into trading channel territory, but we started with treasury talk, so I think it is important that we come to some consensus on what to do. I think securing some kind of, thinking about it in terms of runway is a good guiding light, right? Like, let's secure some runway so that we aren't exposed to the volatility of the market. Or we aren't completely beholden to the volatility of the market. Like, I doubt we want to give up our ETH exposure completely, but yeah, some number of years in stables probably makes sense.
Yeah, just the number on that. We're about like a little over $100,000 in monthly runway now. It's just thinking about what the runway would be that we would want to secure. Obviously, maybe that runway will increase, but the number right now is about 100K.
Okay, great. Anything on going back to products? Anything to update on the governance side of things? I don't know if Elon or Augusto usually look to you guys.
Sorry, on what?
On governance work. Anything to update?
Not really. I was working on the DX voting app, but not much because I took a week off to travel to Patagonia, and I'm just getting back to the DX voting app, and I'm planning to do a release on Rinke for the end of the year. And I'm very good. Thanks for asking.
Do you want to talk quickly about the I don't know how to frame it, but involving DXD in voting power, like, or should I kind of say a few words about this, or do you want to, Chris?
Just governance, like the meeting earlier in
Yeah.
the week, the governance. Yeah. I guess whenever I guess we're doing the call recaps now, I can go over that. But I don't know. I think John was wondering if there's anything on like the product side for governance. So the
like
voting
anything
DApp
happening on XDAI or voting DApp or yeah. So I guess
I know
I
that
think
there was
we're probably up to date on
meeting.
that.
So there is a proposal to add a shorter version of the competition on XDAI, like a shorter in terms of like Genesis protocol parameters. So that's that. Feel free to check that out. And then that DAO will have, for a moment, 2 competitions. And after the Omen markets competition will resolve, we can remove that plugin completely. So yeah, just that.
Great. And I think XDAI is going to be a good staging ground even for these like relayers. We can potentially, talking about parallel work streams, we can, when we deploy the Gnosis protocol relayer, we could do it on XDAI and mainnet at the same time. It should pass quicker on XDAI, and then we can actually test it on XDAI before we actually do it on mainnet, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, we can emergency downvote it on mainnet if it fucks up.
Right, exactly.
And there's already some activity. I think Gnosis already promoting with some discounted orders on XDAI to say hello for the XDAI community. So yeah, I would happily contribute to testing on XDAI with the DXdao base.
Yeah, Gnosis has this promotion for custom market makers on XDAI, which people could test out. I think they're providing some liquidity where there's some gains to be made on trading on XDAI, and they're even like giving out like a free GNO for anybody who deploys a custom market maker. I was looking at it, but it's kind of been dropping down my to-do list, so I'm not sure if I'll get to it, but it's pretty cool if people want to check it out. All right, should we move to recapping the BizDev and governance calls with the time we have? Maybe, Elon, do you want to go over what we did in BizDev?
Yes, sure. One sec. So the thing is loading. So in the BizDev call, we had an introduction by the Arweave CEO about backing DAO Talk to Arweave. Just something about that. I Googled this, and there's like a discourse plugin that connects with IPFS. So there's a chance that we could just do that with IPFS, but Arweave is also like a possibility. So yeah, backing up all the forum correspondence. There was like an onboarding refresh by Keenan, but I think we kind of discussed this in many different places, and kind of thoughts on how to recap, how to log conversations. Sky's offered like HackMD. I offered Notion, and we're kind of, I guess for now, using all of them. We'll see what will emerge kind of victorious. And yeah, Christopher talked a bit about how do we onboard entrepreneurs that want to build a specific product. And there is Alpress, the Almonit guys who want to create basically decentralized blogging. They made a post in the BizDev chat to go check out their product. And yeah, I'll probably like bump that later today. So yeah.
Great. And governance call, Chris?
Yeah. So first, doing another round of community rep boost. So there's a thread in there trying to get more engagement and also have the nominees themselves do the proposals. You went through the proposal queue, and there's a couple different worker proposals, and then also 2 different ENS proposals. I think a third one now for DXstats, but the swapper.eth proposal is live, has been boosted. I actually voted for it, and it is set to pass in the wee early morning hours of Saturday morning, I guess at least East Coast U.S. time. And so that's will be, hopefully we'll pass, and then Swapper Alpha will be launched and accessible on .eth. And then there's also an update to the DXdao homepage that is a proposal that Violet and company have been working on for there. And had a nice long great discussion on the other proposal in the queue on immediate halts at the bond curve. So there's been some good discussion, I think, in the thread and the forum on that. The video, I think, I watched it at least 5 times yesterday. It's great, great media. No, but in all seriousness, there's some good discussion there. I think it's an important thing that we've discussed about for a while. That proposal will be live for another 5 days. And right now, I think it's 6.89% for and 0.39% against. And then, just the last thing on the Gov 2.0 front, we had a bunch of different proposals and solutions that were presented on Tuesday. There's another great spreadsheet from Pulp that goes over the different solutions. So check out that if you're interested in the different ways that we're trying to align REP and DXD. So. Any questions, thoughts on?
Great.
Cool. Yeah. Anything else then before we wrap up? Yeah, lots of good proposals. So definitely check out Alchemy, and thanks everybody for joining.
See you guys. Have a good day.
See you guys.
See ya.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.